This is a locally made St. Petersburg, Florida rum, made and owned by Jamaican immigrants.
And it is delicious.
And just as a side note, I believe it's all black owned, operated, distilled. That's good stuff.
And because it is summer in Florida, I am drinking a cold beverage instead of coffee with rum in it. Hot coffee. This is also a Florida brewery, Funky Buddha. If you're ever anywhere where you see Funky Buddha at your local liquor store or whatever, give them a try. I think they're fantastic. They're one of my favorite breweries. So I definitely give them my seal of approval. All right. Get your coffee. Let's cheers.
You just sprayed on me.
Are you really upset about having alcohol in your skin?
I probably already do.
Good stuff.
And inside and outside.
So basically what we wanted to do was come here and tell you a little bit more about why we're doing this, and share some information that we haven't really talked about before on this channel, that we think is kind of integral to this entire project and to and to where we want our shared lives to go. So to start things off, let me just say I got furloughed yesterday, which was super awesome. I have never once before in my life had to leave a job involuntarily. I'm a little bit of a teacher's pet and perfectionist, and so I've always been kind of a go-getter, and to be put in this position is not at all unexpected. It's part of why we have this van, but it's also emotionally tough. And I think one of the things, though,
well, you want to be able to leave a job on your own terms.
yeah.
So even if you're looking for a new job, if you start looking for a new job just in case, and then before you're done with that, your job just decides to surprise you by laying you off or by furloughing you.
So
That doesn't feel good to anybody.
no, but part of the reason that we've been thinking about doing this van thing is not just for recreation. It's not just to have a creative...
Well, it wasn't really for recreation at all,
well,
was it?
we'll get there.
Yeah.
Some people might be looking at this, seeing that we own a house, living in Florida, whatever. Right, paying a mortgage. Some people might think that, this is a hobby. This is, something that we're going to use to take vacations, since normal modes of transportation and accommodations are kind of off the table right now. But that's not really the story. There's a bird back there. He's distractible. The real story is that when COVID kind of hit and I had some free time, I started watching some van life videos, and what I kind of saw was people living van life as a way to opt out of capitalism. And I want to just put here before we continue, if you are not super on board with liberal politics, you feel really triggered by discussions of things that are ultra liberal and maybe not in line with your ideology and your views, maybe stop this video here and pick up with the next one.
Or maybe just watch it anyway and see if you find out something you didn't know. It's good to expose yourself to new things.
There you go. So we're both pretty strongly anti-capitalist in theory, but we recognize that we are entrenched in capitalism, in society as it exists in, middle class 21st century America, and we don't like it.
And there's and like this van life trend of people living in vans to escape their day-to-day, grind or whatever. Like there was a little while ago when the hot thing was minimalism, when there was like that big minimalism blow up, and and there were all these like famous Twitter personalities that were all about minimalism, and there were some like really rich people like who's that really famous guru with a really
From the
deep
minimalists.
voice? Well, anyways, and like Marie Kondo, stuff like that,
yeah.
and
Totally.
it's just like, and then there was that minimalist documentary, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's great if you can use minimalism to kind of declutter your life and simplify your life and maybe spend more time doing things you want to do and less time doing things that you have to do to take care of your stuff and take care of your bills and everything. But really, like, minimalism, it doesn't have to be a thing that you do so that Instagram followers can follow you and see, oh, look at this really creative and super expensive way that I'm a minimalist. It's like, you could also be a minimalist as a way to remove yourself from consumerism.
Yeah.
And to remove yourself from not just the trapping, not just so that you have more free time, but so that you have less obligation to the cycle of endless consumerism, and also to this like ridiculous idea that we can continue to have infinite growth and infinite consumption on a planet of limited resources.
And that this lifestyle of keeping the majority of America in debt, and that is just part of your life, is insane. It's ridiculous. It's not sustainable. And I mean, we have a variety of debts. We purchased this house, so we have a mortgage. We both have some student loans. I have a car loan, but that was very recently. I got the new car in November, and COVID hit in January, so that was super great
And it
timing.
almost feels like, I don't know, it almost feels like embarrassing to talk about debt too, like to say that you have debt. Because if you say you have a lot of student loan debt, a lot of people are going to jump in and be like, well, why did you make that choice to take on all that debt? That's a really stupid decision, especially if it's for a liberal arts degree, which both of us have one.
But we're millennials.
Or, oh, you got all this debt because of some medical issue. Well, that's your fault. You didn't eat right.
We grew up and went to college just before the Great Recession. So
yeah, but you also got to think about like how many people have debt regardless of their choices.
Oh, yeah.
If you got a credit card, you have debt. If you pay a mortgage, you have debt. You're in debt for hundreds of thousands to the bank to whom you pay your mortgage. You know.
So, but
if you got kids in college, you're in debt. Mm-hmm.
But I think to like kind of circle back around to like, okay, why is this even relevant? The point is that I kind of had a panic when COVID started, thinking about the possibility of homelessness. Do I think that we were ever on the verge of that, or now that I am furloughed, that we are on the verge of that? No. We have really strong support systems. We have savings.
Well, you never know
Well,
what could happen.
True.
You know?
But that doesn't mean that there aren't other people who will suffer that, and not just like a handful of other people. I mean like millions of people in this country, and honestly around the world. And it really got me thinking about what is critically important for me to survive, and seeing how people are able to explore and have freedom and be creative and kind of live the lives that they want to live when they literally shrink their lives down to the size where it fits into one vehicle. And you know, it's interesting because some people say, oh well, that's homelessness, but I don't see it that way.
Well, it's houselessness.
Yeah. Apartmentlessness, condolessness. Like it's a way of, it's currently kind of stigmatized, unless you own like a $200,000 Winnebago or a super tricked out Sprinter, Mercedes Sprinter. But that's not the spirit, I think, of what this lifestyle is about. That's definitely not our plans. And the things that the things that we're spending a lot of money on when it comes to the van are literally just so that we can get off grid. And if we didn't have the resources to do it, we would find some other way. But we currently have the resources, and we don't know how long we'll have those resources. So we're kind of like, well,
off grid, not in like a paranoid way where nobody can find us.
No.
But off grid in the sense of free of a regular bill to internet companies, free of a recurring bill to, you know, electric and utilities companies, which
Water
are
bills.
monopolies. Water bills, mortgage, no more mortgage. Because who does that help? That doesn't help the people that built the house. It doesn't help us. What it helps is the bank that owns the deed. Yeah.
And property taxes and all of that. I mean, we are pro-tax. We are, I would say, very comfortably, I identify as socialist. I think you lean a little bit more communist. But we're both very much of the mind that taxes are supposed to be there to provide public welfare. I mean, it's like, if you're religious, it's like the collection plate at church, right? Okay, so everybody chips in what they can, and it goes toward the betterment of the community. Like, that's what taxes are supposed to be, and that's kind of how government is supposed to function.
That's how the human race has functioned for most of its existence. I mean, when Homo sapiens came around like 200,000 odd years ago, there was no capitalism. People had to get together in groups and they had to share everything to survive. This is just the most recent phase.
Well,
and it's not even a very old phase because it's only been a couple hundred years since the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
Capitalism's less than 200 years old.
But, I mean, honestly, I mean, there was feudalism and, you know, there's royal and imperialism. And, I mean, there are a lot of different ways before capitalism that class structures were
Slavery.
really unequal. Yes, obviously. This has been a running issue. Class struggle has been a running issue throughout human history since we were living in tribes. So we're not suggesting that communal living or communism or socialism or whatever are necessarily like the magic bullet. But for us, when we're thinking about how do we want to live, how do we want to interact with our fellow citizens in our community, and what do we think is the most ethical, we think that those types of theories and ideologies are more ethical than what tends to be considered American, and that is individualism, competition, survival of the fittest, free market. I don't want to pay for your health care. I have my own bills to pay. That kind of stuff. That's not really in line with our thinking, the way that we feel things should function, and also we see other countries that do things differently and we admire them. So, a long time plan for us has been to emigrate to Canada. We have thought long and hard about this and have been planning this for more than 2 years now. But we weren't exactly sure what the timeline was.
Not necessarily planning for 2 years, but thinking of it as an end goal.
Yeah.
Like, or not as
destination.
as a goal that's in our 5-year plan or 10-year plan, or depending on what goes on with our lives here, it's a goal that's an indeterminate but less than 10 years away point in the future.
Right.
So to do it and be done with it before middle age, before retirement, you know, while we're
Yes.
still working, while we're still young.
Yeah. And I kind of, at the beginning of COVID, was thinking about the homelessness stuff.
Homelessness.
Homelessness potential. At the beginning of all of this coronavirus pandemic.
What's the date today? July 8th?
Yes.
It's July 8th, 2020. Prediction, there's going to be a massive spike in homelessness and evictions real soon.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet, but I'm going to make that prediction right now on film, July 8th, 2020.
Before the end of this calendar year.
Yup.
Because
There's
anyway.
a lot of people who made predictions about what was going to happen with the COVID-19 spikes. They weren't listened to. And now the United States is the worst place on earth to be in terms of having coronavirus exposure. And Florida in particular, where we are, is the second or third worst state in the country for it, behind I think like Georgia and Arizona maybe, or Texas and Arizona. So all the things that scientists and doctors and everybody were warning about have happened, and they've happened at an even greater scale than they were warning about, and I'm going to predict the same's going to happen with homelessness and evictions.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were aware of that, thinking about that, concerned about it. And then we were thinking about Canada, And I also kind of went to a place of what happens if hyperinflation happens? Like, what happens if the dollar loses a lot of value because of all of this money that we're just pumping into the economy to keep things running right now? Like, there are historical precedents.
A lot of people probably don't even know what that is.
So,
It's
what happened in Venezuela, basically, is that your money.
Well, but if you don't know what happened in Venezuela, it's
Go for it.
Well,
Tell 'em.
just the shortest version possible. Like, most people know that as far as economics goes, the more of something there is, the cheaper it is, or the more of something there is, the less it's worth. So
Scarcity.
if you want a ticket to see some bar band, and there's 2,000 seats to see this bar band, the tickets are going to be super cheap. But if you want tickets to see the Rolling Stones, and there's 2,000 seats, every single one of those tickets is going to be really expensive because it's a item that's high in demand because it's rare, and no matter how much you charge, no matter how many people can afford it, there's a limited number of people that can have that ticket, so people can kind of just charge whatever they want to. Well, it's the same with the US dollar. The government just decides to print more and more and more and more, and people decide, all right, now we're going to give a $3 trillion stimulus to the economy because of COVID. Well, now we're going to give another $2 trillion because that didn't really do anything, which it didn't. Now we're going to give another few trillion. Well, they keep printing more and more money and jettisoning more money onto the economy. There's more money now, but there's not any more value than there was before, so each of those individual dollars is worth less and less. And the more dollars there are, the less each one is worth, and that's inflation. And when you dump tons and tons and tons and tons of dollars, you can get hyperinflation. And so the only way to make the amount of dollars line up with the price of goods and services is to charge ridiculous amounts for goods and services so that it somewhat makes sense according to how many dollars there are out there.
So instead of a gallon of milk costing $4, it costs $50 or
Yeah.
$100
Yeah.
or $1,000.
There have been countries in the past. I don't remember. It's Venezuela. I think it was actually like
Germany had a big
I
issue
think
with
it was.
it.
I think it might have been like an African country, but.
Oh,
But
yeah,
there was
yeah.
some country I was reading about where like
I think it was
they
Zimbabwe.
had to print a $100,000 bill or like a $700,000 coin or something like that because they had to dump so much extra money into the economy to try and jumpstart things that everybody was a billionaire right away, so that then they had to jack up the prices of everything to make it equal out. So
Yeah.
anyways, hyperinflation.
Anyway, so basically we took a calculated risk, which was based on fear, but I think is still practical. And that was, okay, we have this money right now saved up. We see the potential for the value of our house dropping. We see the potential for the value of any savings that we have dropping.
Yeah, both of those things have happened.
So this tape keeps sticking in my hair. So basically we decided, okay, well, let's buy some expensive things that we know will enable us to continue to survive at a
Not even that expensive though.
no, but at a level of like lifestyle comfort that is sufficient. Not the same.
Sufficient.
Not the same, but not destitute.
Not in a tent on the side of the road.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how this van came to light, and the more we thought about it, no matter what happened with my job or his job or whatever, we thought, okay, this is our ticket. Like, this is our way to freedom. This is our way to get out from this under this mortgage, to get out from a whole lot of bills, to utilize our money in a way that will
For something practical.
yeah, that will, like, you know, protect us in some way that's not just literally dollars in a bank somewhere for a rainy day, and also will enable us to travel and enable us to literally move our lives to Canada. Like, I was thinking to myself,
It checks a lot of boxes.
for this whole time that we've been talking about this Canada stuff, I've been thinking, like, so we have a dog and a cat who does not travel well. So how in the hell are we going to get from Florida to likely British Columbia in a timely fashion with, you know, enough money in the bank?
And take all our stuff from our house and take our vehicles and travel with pets.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? if your vehicles and your house and your possessions and your pets and your family and all of it is in one piece of equipment, then that really smooths it all out. Because you would drive there, and the second we cross over the border, the second we set foot or set tire on Canadian soil, we have a residence. We got a place to live, no mortgage.
So we don't know what the timeline is going to look like for this. There are lots of variables involved with the COVID-19 situation. We really don't know. The good news is that Jake is a nurse, so he is likely to have employment anywhere we go, especially during COVID. What we're thinking right now is that in a few months, when the van is done and we're ready to kind of offload the house, which we're not 100% sure how that's going to go, maybe family might be interested, kind of thing, then we're planning to kind of pack up and at least get out of Florida. Now, does that mean that we're going to go to Canada right away? Probably not, because honestly, we have no idea.
It's going to take a while to get there, too.
Well, we have no idea when the borders are going to reopen, and we don't know.
Oh, that's right. We can't even go right now. The borders are closed.
Yeah.
Why? They don't want America spreading COVID up there, and I don't blame them.
But we always intended on going through like a very calculated legal avenue, whether that was express entry or maybe through a student visa or something like that. So
express entry seems like it might be the most legit way to go. I mean the most straightforward way to go, just because their number one most requested profession is a nurse.
Yeah.
So they need that just like Florida needs them too.
Yeah.
But
so he could theoretically do like a traveling type nurse situation where maybe we'll make our way toward Canada slowly and spend a few months in a couple different spots where he does a stint here and a stint there, and we're in Oklahoma and then the Dakotas and then whatever. So that's kind of like our thought process as far as what might happen. But again, no timeline, no real. We are amateurs at this. We are blundering our way through this, and we are inviting you along for the ride.
Blundering our way through this.
And we figured, whether or not we're successful, whatever bumps in the road we hit, literally or metaphorically, there are a whole bunch of things about these ideas and these plans that we have that are really, really extensive, far-reaching, and have huge implications. And we also think that maybe there are some people out there who are thinking the same things but don't even know where to start, or would love to see how it plays out for other people, so that they know what they're getting themselves into if they decide they want to go on a similar path. And so that's why we're sharing this. And really, Vanny DeVito is our way of saying, fuck you, capitalism. We're not gonna play the game. We are going to,
and we don't have to.
Yeah, and we're
neither do you.
We're gonna eliminate the most amount of participation in capitalism that we can, because we don't want to be involved. So if we have to pay a cell phone bill, we have to pay car insurance, we have to pay whatever
There's going to
else.
be some stuff you can't really get out of, but there's a lot of things we can get out of.
Yes, exactly.
And one of those things is this country. So,
So anyway, I think that is a good intro to the Vanny DeVito anti-capitalist Jake and Olivia, Ziggy and Butters movement, and why we're doing this and where things are going.
but also why we're not doing it. I mean, also reasons that we are not doing it for.
Right. There are a lot of people who participate in van life who see it as a lifestyle,
It's
vanity.
an Instagram influencer type thing.
Yeah, like I think you
My
can
van's
tell.
really pretty.
Yeah.
Everything's really pretty.
Yeah.
I did all this makeup. It's Insta modeling for with this sort of facade of trying to break out of the mold of everyday consumerism over it.
No.
It doesn't really count like as getting into van life It doesn't really count as like leading this this crazy anti-consumerist minimalist lifestyle if you're spending tens of thousands of dollars on your van and on image and on recording equipment and trying to rack up followers and trying to. We don't give probably 2/10 of a shit how many followers we get, because we're gonna do this. We're doing this project because we need to do it and we want to do it.
It's a creative outlet for me as a video editor and a digital media person to be able to make these videos, edit them, publish them, you know, create graphics that are for the van, branded, you know, paint, do all of these things. I mean, and kind of do interior design a little bit. Like, it's just become such a healthy outlet for all of these fears, all of these cognitive dissonances that we have with our environment, and our way to kind of find a path to a lifestyle that is congruent with our ideals and our values. That's really it.
Well, it sucks to look around and realize that there's like a million ways in which you're not really living according to your principles, you know, and also and some of which are due in large part to the fact that it's like almost impossible to live according to your principles in the environment that you're in. Like, if I live according to my principles, I'll probably get fired real quick, you know, or I'll get arrested, or I'll get whatever, you know, or I'll get all my stuff repossessed. So, I mean, you know, if your main thing is that you want to become a swimmer, don't move to the desert, I guess. Like,
Smart. So anyway, we just kind of wanted to share that piece of our journey with you. Obviously, this is not to ding other van lifers who do it, and they do it at the max level because they have the resources and they want to live that glamorous van life, and they aspire to be influencers, whatever. Like, that's totally cool. Yeah, that's not, but that's just not us. And I want to be clear that if we have the good fortune of having our YouTube channel have success, we are not going to be Amazon affiliate pushers. We are not going
or any similar organization.
No, and we refuse to be brand ambassadors or have videos sponsored by companies who are not cooperatively owned and operated, for instance. We only want to do business with businesses that we find ethical.
Give me a call, Chobani.
Yeah, like any worker co-op type situation, that is the kind of business that we would like to give our business to as consumers, and that we would like to advocate for if and when the opportunity ever arose, which we are not planning on. But we just want to say from early on in this entire journey that we're not sellouts, and we're not going to sell out, no matter how poor and shitty things get.
Which, yeah, and like, what is a sellout? Okay, it means that I got all these beliefs, but I'm gonna put them aside when it comes to accepting all this money. Like,
money.
And I think that word sellout gets tossed around a lot, but what is it? Well, it's I talk about all these beliefs that I have, and sometimes I really act on those beliefs that I have. But if somebody offers me a lot of money to just put all those values on pause while I accept this money, and try to talk up an organization that does not have those values, well, I'll just put those on pause for the short-term gain. You know, that's selling out.
We
don't need to do that.
No,
so
but also, like, we realize that capital literally rules our lives right now. Money. Like, I have to spend a certain amount of time in a certain place doing a certain amount of labor in order to receive a certain amount of money so that I can immediately push that money out to maintain my lifestyle. We don't want to do that anymore.
And maintain your survival.
Yeah. Like, we want to be in a situation where we have our food, our water, our shelter, our electricity to a certain extent.
Ideally, if there was some way, if there was some way to have a mobile garden, then we could just do like the full package, like don't buy anything lifestyle.
Yeah.
But we can't really grow enough food to eat while we drive around, I don't think.
Maybe once we get to Canada, we can find someplace
switch
where...
to a farm thing.
Yeah, but this is the first step in a journey of freeing ourselves from capitalism, and honestly, we owe a lot of the momentum that we have right now to this global pandemic because it has disrupted the status quo. And I see me being furloughed as today is my first day of freedom from capitalism because we already have these plans, we already have these things in motion, we already have these ideas, and I was just set free from that structure, and now I have time every day to pursue ways in which to accrue whatever capital we need to survive.
Well, yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't intend on getting another 8-to-5 job.
I was just gonna say, technically, it's not even capital, but we could get into that some other time. Yeah.
He loves to talk economics, so if you're into economics, stay tuned because.
Well, and also just definitions of things. Like most people don't even know what capital is. It's not just a sack of money. Like that's not what it is.
But point being, I have been set free from my daily grind, and it's scary, and it means that our income is being cut really significantly, but it also means that it is freeing me up to do more of this, to do the things that I want to do, to live by my ethics, my principles, our shared ethics and principles, to spend more time with you and with our animals, and to spend more time in the van, getting it to be the home that I want it to be, and thinking about the future, and getting to a place where we're living the lives we want to live, even if that to other people seems like homelessness.
Well, and also just, and not only doing things we want to do, but dropping a lot of things that we do all the time that we don't want to do.
Yes. We have so much stuff, and we don't acquire a lot of things. He's very anti, like, stuff.
Yeah.
So,
like, I was into the minimalism thing just in terms of avoiding building up clutter in your life, because I think that's valuable. That's a valuable thing to do. Some people have to have a lot of clutter in their life to engage in their hobbies or their jobs or whatever it is, or if you have 4 kids or something and they all have their stuff, like some people need clutter, but we've always been kind of in the minimalism thing. Don't just jam your living space full of things you don't need.
yeah.
But now it's going to sort of be taken to a little bit more of an extreme because we simply cannot accumulate a lot of stuff in this space. So
No more Christmas presents that aren't things that we can
just
utilize
have some
or
you use every day.
Yeah.
That you need to use every day, or some immaterial thing like an internet subscription to who knows.
Or tickets to something, or whatever. So anyway, I guess the whole point of this is welcome to our anti-capitalist, socialist, whatever kind of ethical vibes surrounding our videos. I think we're going to talk a lot more freely about
our very anti-capitalist newness.
I think,
which spells van.
There you go. I think we're going to talk a little bit more freely about this now that the wheels are actually in motion. I felt kind of restricted in talking about these things while I was still working a 9-to-5 job, but...
Which, again, how silly is that? Like, a lot of people love to talk about, freedom of speech and everything and how we have it here and how they don't have it in other places. But you don't really have it because you work at a job, don't you? Well, a lot of people who are watching this right now probably aren't working, but it's like you work at a job, you can't say anything bad about your job, especially not on YouTube. You get fired right away.
Yeah.
You don't actually have freedom of speech, but now you do because you don't have a job to worry about getting fired from.
So technically, I'm still an employee, but they not only walked me to my office to gather my things, they also walked me to my car. And then I noticed when I got home that all of the passwords to everything were being changed because I was getting all of these notifications. And then when I went into my email to try and sign out, I discovered that my account had been locked. So I just deleted the Outlook app from my phone. Like, literally, I did that yesterday. So I am not anticipating going back. I work in the entertainment sphere currently, so I do not foresee my job coming back anytime soon. And I'm okay. I'm really okay. I'm ready. I'm ready for what's coming next.
Well, and the only reason that I wasn't worried about getting laid off is because I work in nursing.
Yeah.
It's like if there's going to be one job right now that is somewhat safe, it's probably got to be that job. I don't know what else would be safer.
So we don't know where things are going, but this is the first time that we feel like we can share this information with you, and look forward to more content that talks about these kind of things as we move forward in our plans. And bon voyage. Cheers, everyone.
There's only like a drop in the bottle.
And there you have it.